In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, as promised, it is part 2 of the series where we debate on who is the number 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Actually, I believe picks 1, 2, and 3 are locks. James thinks that number 3 is up for debate. So this is going to be fun because Ace Bailey was cooking tonight, and I think I'm about to cook James in this debate. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother, James Barlowe. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Also want to mention the Locked On newsletter. Your favorite Locked On NBA podcast has a newsletter. Check it out at LockedOnDaily.com. And also, if you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please subscribe. It is for your own good. If you love NBA draft content, we are your daily source for NBA draft content. So make sure you subscribe, click the bell, like the video. But you want to click that bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode. Because like I said, we're coming at you at least 5 days a week. We're your daily source. And even now it is almost midnight Central Time and we are up. And we are about to have this debate that started earlier this week. I'm going to get right into it. I think the top 3 picks are locks. James, well, as of a couple of days ago, thought number 3 was up for debate. But I want to hear James's thoughts after Ace Bailey had another strong performance. Ace Bailey, freshman forward from Rutgers. Again, I think he is a lock at number 3. Ace Bailey had 24 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal tonight against Nebraska. He was 8 of 16 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3. As Rutgers has won 2 games in a row, it looked like they weren't even going to make the Big Ten tournament. And this is after a 20-point, 10-rebound game where he was 7 of 13 from the floor against UCLA. Again, I think Ace is a lock, 6'10", shooter, shot maker, still has some holes in his game. But James don't think he's a lock at number 3. And he brought up different guys that he feels like could be in the mix, from Jeremiah Fears, Trey Johnson. He believes Kasparas Jakucionis should be in the mix, Khaman Maluach, or maybe even VJ Edgecombe. But let's talk about Ace tonight. And, you know, James, you are considered the Ace Bailey hater. And I know you're not hating. I know you're not hating. But, you know, in the comments, because you are a little bit skeptical, you kind of
ask questions.
But the floor is yours. What did you see tonight?
Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Is that you cooking me right now?
No, I haven't even turned the stove on yet. I haven't turned it on yet.
All right, because I was wondering if that's a cook up. Then you must just go to sleep. Listen, Ace was great tonight. There's no bones about it. He showed you a little bit of everything. He made plays. He took open shots. He made open shots. The defense, kudos. That is what I want to see. That's all I've asked from Ace. I just don't want to give him, like, you know, Ace's Avengers have been giving him passes for, you know, some of the shots he's been taking. At first it was his teammates. Those same teammates that y'all said weren't good, they played tonight. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Listen, the talent is there. I said that, and, you know, maybe I jumped the gun. That's still to be seen. But I said that the ability has always been there, but the play, and again, it's not necessarily about production. It's about what it looks like. His what it looked like had opened up the doors for, to me, a conversation to be had about who is the number 3 pick. Now, again, Ace continues to be on this path that he's on, where he's getting better. This is me, Aces Avengers. All of y'all that's been tweeting me, right? That's fine. I respond back. I enjoy talking about basketball. This is me saying and telling you, yo, he's getting better. And that's a good sign. So you're not going to hear an argument from me if this is the Ace Bailey we continue to see. And again, it's a long season. He's got holes in his game. All these kids got holes in their game. You're supposed to have holes in your game. You're 18 years old, 19 years old. But again, if that's, go ahead and turn the stove on, man, because you said you was texting me an hour ago talking about you going to cook. Man, let me see what you got, dog.
If your main point is the shot selection, I'm like, if a guy has terrible shot selection and he's still shooting 46% from the floor, and that was prior to this game, that means that's fixable. That is totally fixable. And we talked about the three-point volume. We said it months ago that he needs to shoot more threes. He's been shooting more threes. He had the game against Purdue last week where he was 4 of 9 from 3. Now he was just 1 of 4 against UCLA, but he was 4 of 7 from 3, and that was one of his threes that looked like he tried to bank it in from the corner. It was a Klay Thompson shot where it looked like he tried to shoot it with no dip in the corner, hitting nothing but side of the backboard. But he comes back the next possession, step back, contested 3. I mean, the shot making, the size, the rebounding, the defensive upside. Like, to me, it's like, why is it even a debate? Because who else in this class can you say has the same upside and promise on both ends of the floor with a still glaring weakness as far as ball handling and then even the assists? I mean, we talked about the impressive no-look pass that he had against UCLA. Today he had 4 assists. Now, prior to today, 2 assists was his career high. He had quite a few games with just 1 assist and quite a few games with 0.
So wait, real quick. That makes me a hater because I said he didn't pass?
No, that was facts. But I think one of the reasons that people have been kind of on your head is because you, to them, appear to see him as a finished product.
Never. Listen, this is what I'm going to say. Ace, before we get into the break, Ace is trending in the right direction. But let me not pretend like prior to this is what his breakdown is on Synergy. Because, Ralph told me he was going to cook me, so I only make sure I got some notes. All right. But Synergy said he's had 4 spot-up possessions today versus 2 isolations. I love it. I take it. The game against UCLA, 7 spot-up possessions versus 2 isolations. That translates. That fits his playing style. The loss to Purdue, 6 spot-ups, 3 isolations. Again, if he's doubling his spot-ups to his isolations, we can cook. The game against Wisconsin, he had like 9 that game. They weren't on my head that game. And again, I get it. Everybody's going to be up and down. He had 1 spot-up possession, 4 isolations. I think he had 9 that game. That was not a good game. The game everybody was so happy about against the Indiana, he made all those tough, incredible shots. He had 11 isolation plays. Again, no Dylan Harper. I get that. But 11 isolation plays, you're not going to win games that way. And again, those other games, Ralph, where he was struggling versus his best games, it looks like spot-ups are high. And again, spot-up doesn't mean catch and shoot. Spot-up means I catch it on the wing and I attack, or I catch and shoot. When he doubles his isolations with spot-ups, he looks very good. He looks like 3rd pick, all the upside in the world. But when he catches the ball in the pinch post and he takes 2 dribbles to the corner, I'm going to live with it. But again, I understand that. I'm not saying that those are terrible possessions. I'm saying if that's all you do, that's a bad way to play basketball. But he's making the adjustment. So listen, shout out to Ace. I see you. And if I'm the muse to you being a better player, great. Just don't listen to the Green Goblin mask telling you to catch the ball and jab left and shoot with 4 hands in your face. That's all. Every possession. That's all I'm saying.
I'm an irrational confidence guy. I think everybody that is a gifted scorer needs that irrational confidence.
Of
I need
course.
those guys that take those terrible shots because they're the ones that aren't going to be afraid to fail.
But at the same time, there's a fine line between irrational confidence and turning into Andrew Wiggins, who was the number one pick, who it didn't work for him as the number one pick as far as the franchise player. He got a
All-star,
championship.
200-something million.
Hey, man, listen, I want everybody to get paid, but was he the best player from his draft class? No. But
No.
playing the way that Ace was heading, that would look like Andrew Wiggins to me. And there's nothing wrong with being Andrew Wiggins. You pay, you're a champion, but he did that. They had to scale it back for him.
But he's bigger than Andrew Wiggins, not as athletic as Andrew Wiggins, but he's, again, 6'10".
Better shooter than
Everybody would take a 6'10", better shooting Andrew Wiggins that also rebounds. Andrew Wiggins only rebounded during the NBA Finals.
You're absolutely right.
I don't know what got into him, but that's the only time I've seen him really attack the glass. Andrew Wiggins, there are some people that question how hard he plays. I mean, the joke is Canada Dry. One thing about Ace Bailey, you can't question how hard he plays. He plays hard. He throws that little skinny body around trying to get rebounds. And if he's a 6'10" Andrew Wiggins that's providing rebounding and weak side shot blocking,
you'll take that. But again, Ace's Avengers, Ace's Army keep telling me he's T-Mac, and I'm like, I don't know about T-Mac. But shout out to Ace. Keep it up. That's how you're supposed to play basketball. That's winning basketball.
All right. I think Ace is a lock. I think you can write it in pen that he is the number 3 pick. But up next, we're going to talk about some players James believes or has an opportunity to surpass Ace in the 2025 NBA draft. All right, let's talk about Robinhood Gold, because with Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get a 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts, which is over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Now remember, investing is a risk, and the 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from the first match, and you must keep your IRA funds for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. All right, second segment. Like I said, I think Ace Bailey is a lock at number 3. In that last episode, we talked about Trey Johnson. We talked about Jeremiah Fears as potential options to be number 3. Kasparas Jakucionis. You think Jakucionis has a chance to surpass Bailey in the 2025 NBA draft? Let me know your thoughts why you think that is a possibility.
Well, in this position, as far as like, if would I entertain, me personally, James Barlowe, in charge of the 3rd pick in the draft, would I entertain Jakucionis over Ace Bailey? No, because I feel like ultimately Ace Bailey's upside is higher, but it depends on, again, what the team is looking for, right? And again, Ace should fit in every situation, especially because, again, 6'10", he can shoot. But
the
this
is wings. Like NBA, every NBA team is looking for athletic wings that can shoot.
But in the same breath, we can't ignore the talent that Kasparas Jakucionis has. Now, again, a lot of draft Twitter has him at 3. I've seen him as high as 2. To each his own. 6'6", good playmaker, very good shooter, very good in pick and roll. Again, he has his flaws just like all these kids do. In a situation where, again, if Ace, again, all the talent is there, Ace is trending in the right direction. But let's say he falls back into ISO Ace. Does a team sit here and say, you know what? I know what I have in Jakucionis and his playmaking. Does a team entertain that? I don't know. It depends on how analytics heavy that front office is, because the analytics are going to sit here and say Jakucionis is one of the best freshman point guards that we've had in, X amount of years. But with the way that he's playing, I believe he's at like 17, 6, and 6. Illinois is a very good team. Would a team entertain taking him at the third pick? And let's say that team is, again, I know Ace has a coveted size, coveted ability, coveted position, but there's a team like San Antonio who already has a bunch of guys. Maybe they're not in love with, again, Devin Vassell is kind of, he's trending another way. But maybe they sit here and say, Chris Paul is my age, right? Do we need our point guard or co-guard of the future? And we compare him with Castle and play him next to Wemby. That is a question that I am wondering. Would I do it? No.
And that's valid. That's fair. I mean, Kasparas Jakucionis, freshman point guard from Lithuania, listed at 6'6". He's having a really good year on paper, and he's having a really good year, like even just with the eye test. I mean, there's some guys that the eye test and what you see on paper are on two different pages, but he's averaging 16.7 points, 5.4 rebounds, 5.4 assists. He's shooting 50% from the floor, 41% from three, 87% from the foul line. Very unique player in the sense that he is not a guy that you would label as like this aggressive downhill slasher that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the rim, but somehow he gets to the foul line 5 times per game. The only knock on him, at least statistically, is he turns the ball over. He's top 10 in the country in turnovers last time I looked. He's at 3.6 turnovers per game.
I wonder if Danny Wolf passed him up. I think
Danny Wolf. Well,
he had that 7 turnover game a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and I think he had 6 tonight, and I know Jeremiah Fears. Those were the 3 prospects that were inside the top 12, and Fears had a 6 turnover game. I mean, I think Jakucionis is the better decision maker of the 3, as far as those guys that are very, very turnover prone. I mean, that's the one knock. I mean, I guess some people may question the athleticism and the rim pressure and all that, but
I'm some people. See, and again, shout out, I tweeted a couple days ago. Shout out, a couple guys, can't think of the names off the top of my head, but they did like deep dives on Jakucionis' ability to get to the rim, and it was like extremely low, especially I believe in like isolation. And that would be my reasoning for why I would definitely take Ace over him, because again, if I'm taking a point guard that high at 3, I need you constantly at the rim, unless you're like Steph Curry, and there's only one Steph Curry. So again, the series is let's check all the boxes. Let's entertain the guys that we feel like who could be possibly the third pick, because it's the draft, man. Like, we can sit here and say 1, 2, 3 is a lock, but there's surprises all the time. Even the year with Paolo, Chet, and Jabari Smith, there was a lot. I know you were team Paolo, and you got that right. There were a lot of people saying Jabari Smith. So I'm asking us, to draft people, the listeners, let's look at a few guys to make sure that Ace is number 3. And if Ace continues to play the way he's going to play, he's going to take number 3, because again, he's the most talented of the 6 guys that I've talked about. But it comes down to the adjustments that he is making and will he continue to make. And that's not me saying he's a finished product.
I think Jakucionis is in the conversation. He's definitely exceeded my expectations. And I had him as like late lottery on Big Board 1.0. But I think in my first mock draft, I had him outside of the lottery. But the way he's played, you can't knock his production at all, except if you just want to point out turnovers. But even with him, I think the turnovers are because he's a high risk, high reward passer. But if I were to nitpick, I'd say, what would his turnovers look like if he was the primary ball handler? Because he's splitting point guard duties with Kylan Boswell. So if he were the only point guard, then you could say his numbers would probably be up even more. But
turnover numbers or assist numbers?
I mean, just total numbers, period.
Total.
So that's something that, I'm just in the back of my head that I'm wondering, and I'm thinking about it out loud. All right, up next, we're going to talk about two more prospects, Duke's Khaman Maluach and Baylor's VJ Edgecombe. James is going to explain why he thinks that they have a chance to be the number 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I heard Skims was making underwear for men, I was a little bit confused, because when I think of Skims, I think of Kim Kardashian. The last thing I would think of Kim Kardashian is underwear for men. But the Skims underwear line for men offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, and they are all detailed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. So whether you are out running errands or you are working out, the Skims underwear are comfortable and reliable. The lightweight materials make you feel like you are wearing absolutely nothing at all. Shop Skims Men at skims.com/lockedonnba and at Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, please select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Again, skims.com/lockedonnba. All right, before we get into the final segment, we have to talk about FanDuel, because the NFL playoffs are here. And from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That is $300 in bonus bets to keep the action going. And with FanDuel, it's easy to navigate on their website. There's a variety of bets that keep every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly, right away. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you are betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. All you have to do is visit fanduel.com to join today, and you can get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com. Make this playoffs unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NFL. All right, last segment. Let's go with Khaman Maluach, 7'2", freshman center from Duke. He's improved a lot. He has definitely improved from the first time we saw him in person at Basketball Without Borders last year. He definitely looks a lot better at Duke than he did at the Nike Hoop Summit. Me and Kristen Peak talked about that today. When we did an episode on the 2025 Nike Hoop Summit USA team rosters. And Maluach he's been good the last 3 games, 6 of 7 from the floor, 12 points, 15 rebounds against Miami, against Notre Dame. Cooper Flagg's 42-point game got all the attention, but Maluach had 19 points, 10 rebounds, was 6 of 7 from the floor, 7 of 8 from the foul line, was 4 of 5 from the floor against Pitt, 4 or 5 from the floor against SMU. He's shooting 80% from the floor this season. But the free throw shooting has been impressive, because we all heard that he's going to be able to shoot the 3 and space the floor. He hasn't really shown that. So far, he's just made 1 3, I believe. And even though his free throw rate isn't high at 2.6 a game, he's shooting in the high 70s. And to me, that is a very, very good indicator of his touch and his promise as a floor spacer. Again, he may not be able to shoot threes early in his NBA career, but I do think that he may be able to, even though you don't see the shot a lot, he may be able to make short corner jumpers or elbow jumpers. And I think long term, he's going to be able to space the floor. If I had a knock on him so far, is that he's not protecting the rim like I thought. He's averaging 1.1 blocks. And I know blocks aren't everything. He's definitely a presence around the basket as a defender, but he's also playing with Cooper Flagg. And so maybe Cooper's eating up some of those blocks. But Maluach has been impressive, and he's been better than I thought. I thought he was going to have – I didn't think he was going to average like a double-double, but if I were predicting him, I would have predicted maybe like 7 points, 5 rebounds, 65% from the floor, and he's exceeded those numbers. So why do you think he could be the number 3 pick.
Here's the thing. If we said today, who would I really, really seriously entertain at 3 over Ace? And we talk about all the things that Ace does well and the desirable things that Ace has. Also, which is, again, depending on who you ask, more desirable is the 7-foot rim protector that can finish plays. And that's what Khaman Maluach is at the very minimum today. Now, you talked about the 77% free throw shooting, right? And maybe you say, oh, maybe he's able to shoot a short corner jumper. I think that, and again, take it with what you want, how you ever want to take it. If he is able to build on what he did in basketball Africa. Now, again, is that the strongest league? No. But he was posting up. He was featured there. And whether or not the league is super strong or not, at 18 years old, he was getting block touches and he was showing face-up game, right? He was showing you bully ball. Now, again, he was on the floor every other possession down there. But there are glimpses, small glimpses of him being able to be a post presence. So if he's a post presence, if he eventually turns into a post presence, along with his rim protection and the shot blocking, then we know he has touch because he shoots the free throws well. And we saw him space the floor in opportunities in the summer with the Olympics with South Sudan. I think, again, this is boom or bust, right? Because, again, his major, what would make him a franchise player would be him being an offensive, being able to, if you're able to run offense through him, not just throw him lobs. I feel like at 7'2", he is mobile. He has good hands. He has good touch. And if you feel like, you know what, he might have some game on the block, you could entertain that at 3. Now, again, his development is further along, or I should say he needs more developing than these other guys because, they say bigs are slower to develop. No shot or no disrespect to a big man, but he has talent that I think, hey, maybe he goes a little higher than what we think. And he's going to get that Duke stimulus package because Lively numbers weren't great. And guess what? Turns out he's very good at basketball too. So I think you entertain Maluach, but it's going to take some great player development to bring out offensive-minded big from him instead of him just being a rim runner.
Yeah, I had this conversation with his agent a couple of days ago, and he actually has the same agent as Derek Lively, and his numbers compared to Lively's are a lot better. And the conversation we had is it's all about fit. And so he was like, Lively ended up in a very good situation in Dallas with Luka. With Maluach, for him, I think it is going to be a situation where he's going to need to go to a place that is a good fit. But also, I feel like due to his size and his role, he does have probably the easiest path to success as far as just you got to roll early in your career, finish plays, protect the rim,
yes,
and dunk. But just looking at the teams, if let's say he is number 3, right? Right now at number 3 is the Charlotte Hornets. And so he'd end up with the playmaker in LaMelo.
Yes.
But I know your answer is, man, forget Mark Williams. Mark Williams.
It's not even forget Mark Williams. Mark Williams is talented. He just always hurt.
Yeah. He had a monster game a couple of days ago. If you're Utah, do you entertain it? If you're Toronto, do you entertain that number 3?
That's what I'm saying. Or if, let's say, Chicago somehow decides to do whatever they need to do, which is, start that match, I think you entertain it because, again, we need a big for the future. And if they play their cards right, that's an opportunity for him to develop because you shouldn't be like you should. If I'm Chicago and, I got the 3rd pick and let's say I really like Madas and whatever, we'll swing our fence for a big, man, I'm feeding Maluach touches on the block next year so I can be in position to draft Darren Peterson or AJ. Like, that's my thinking. Like, hey, man, he want the ball on the block, go ahead and do it. So I think his I don't think he has he can still be considered boom or bust. I think offensive skill is definitely boom or bust. But if the offense is the touch around the basket, if all that develop the coordination and all that stuff develops, I again I think you have to at least entertain it, Rob.
Yeah, and my question is, would the Pelicans entertain it?
No, they just drafted Misi.
The Blazers should have entertained it.
I don't know. Donovan Clean's been hurt.
Yeah, but they still got DeAndre Ayton, and
He's
they are
rocking the
not
stone. He's rocking the
going.
Stone Cold Steve Austin knee brace year one.
But they are not going to be able to get anything for DeAndre Ayton.
Man, I don't even want
So,
to give you my DeAndre Ayton take right now. So
I think DeAndre Ayton.
You know what I said about DeAndre.
I know what you said. They're gonna have to give DeAndre Ayton away. All right, let's switch it up to VJ Edgecombe. I don't think Edgecombe has a shot at number 3. Maybe if he didn't suit up this season, he's played better. I can't lie, he's played better. But I just think that there's so many guys that have passed him. I mean, he's still at 41% from the floor, 31% from 3. I mean, he's rebounding. The rebounding is strong for a wing. The defensive numbers are like 3.3 stocks per game. He's averaging 12 points. He's just has some duds. I mean, we've talked about it before, but he's played better. He's played a lot better. I mean, he had a game against Arizona a couple of days ago where he had 14 points, 6 of 13 from the floor, 2 of 7 from 3. Arizona State, he had 15, 5 of 13. What's interesting, he has one 20-point game this season, and that was against Tennessee. Coming into the year, I would have thought he would have had more based off of how he's played. But, I mean, I'm not the biggest VJ Edgecombe guy. And, I mean, this is and I'll give you credit for this. And maybe, like, once you said it, I can't not see it. And then somebody else reached out to me and asked me the same thing. I see Lonnie Walker.
Oh,
I'm not taking Lonnie Walker, number 3.
And I agree.
And Lonnie Walker was a guy that I was like, hey, whoever he got drafted by,
San Antonio,
I was like, they got a steal.
Yeah. You know, he might end up being better because he'll probably be a better defender. But I think offensively, I think there are some Lonnie Walker. And then, you know, he might be somebody that might measure out at 6'3" at the combine too. But again,
that is the rumor that I'm hearing a lot.
The thing is, I brought him up for segment purposes, but there were a lot of people really high on him. And if I'm VJ Edgecombe's agent, I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna sit here. I'm no disrespect. I'm blaming Baylor. I'm gonna sit here and say, y'all see what they did to Keontae. Then I'm playing him. I'm playing the teams, all the tape from the Olympic qualifiers, and I'm saying he played with DeAndre Ayton, and he was the one taking the shots at the end of the game. Like, that's what I would if I was VJ Edgecombe's representation. Be like, hey, that's what you really getting. I don't know, you know, college is different. And that's why I think, now again, would I do it? No, this is not me. But I think a team is going to look at that and sit here and say, okay, that's what he looks like with NBA level talent. That's what he could be, not the guy that we are seeing at Baylor. But again, you can't necessarily factor in 3 hot games versus like however many 40 games he's going to play in college this season, 35, 40. So, but again, I think somebody will look at it. Will they make the move? I don't think so. But again, because of the representation, because of the rep he came in with, the footage that he put out, like you said, had he not gone to school, he'd probably be a top 4 pick. But
yeah, he definitely has some things that he could say in his favor to offset, you know, some of the questions, because right now at Baylor, he's playing the 3. He's sharing the backcourt with a couple small guards. He's in the same situation that Keontae George was in. We've seen him in a situation with the Bahamas team where he played more so of his natural position and how good he looked. But then on the flip side, you can say, well, man, you had some games against ranked teams where, you know, you just look like a defender and an athlete. So I think his situation is going to be very interesting. But We've been critical of him. I know Leaf has been very critical of him. I've been critical of his performances against good competition. But I will say over the last few weeks in conference play, outside of the Iowa State game where he was 1 of 9, he's had some really good games as far as efficiency. And the 3 ball is coming along. But if it's me, I'm not even entertaining him at number 3. If I got the number 3 pick in the draft, we're not even bringing him in for a workout. So again, let us know your thoughts about the number 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Matter of fact, let's make it fun. If you have the number 3 pick, regardless of team, who are you bringing in for a workout and an interview? Let us know. Once again, it's Rafael and James, and we are out of here.